The day after my 11th birthday, I woke up very early. It was warm and I kicked the covers off the bed. Outside it was raining softly, and the sky was gray. On the table beside my bed was yesterday's birthday present from my parents. It was a simple stick puppet, a wooden man wearing a long coat. I picked it up and looked at it. I was so disappointed when I opened it yesterday. What could I do with a puppet? I was 11, not 5, but I made sure my parents didn't realize how I felt. I smiled and thanked them. I knew they had saved hard to buy me a present. It just wasn't the present I was hoping for. My dream was to learn how to play the big Indonesian drum, the kendang. I knew musical instruments were really expensive, but I still hoped for one. I once tried to use an empty plastic bucket. I turned it over and drummed on its bottom. It wasn't even close to the sound the kendang makes. An empty bucket just sounds like a bucket. With a kendang you can make music. I got out of bed, got dressed and had my favorite breakfast, bubur ayam rice porridge. Then I took my puppet and left the house to do some exploring. I thought I might find something interesting. Could be my lucky day, as Mom would say. As I walked, I felt the puppet softly banging against my back. Suddenly, from somewhere nearby, I heard the quick rhythms of the kendang echoing through the streets. I knew immediately who was playing it, my uncle Satia. He was the best kendang player in the whole area. He liked playing in the streets because he wanted everyone to hear his music. I turned the corner and there he was with his 3 drums. He looked sad. He'd been very lonely since his wife died a few months before. He lived all alone now because they had no children. I felt bad for my uncle and wished I could help him. He looked so sad, and yet the music he made sounded like magic. The rhythm of his playing was fascinating, and I wanted to sing and dance. "Iman!" my uncle shouted as soon as he saw me. "Come and join me." I sat down next to him. He looked very happy to see me. As my uncle beat the drums, I moved my puppet to follow the rhythm. Soon we had a small crowd of people around us, listening to the music and watching my puppet. They danced and clapped. My uncle began tapping his feet. When it was nearly time for me to go home, my uncle looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "You keep looking at the kendang. Do you want to try it?" "Of course I do," I said. "It's my favorite instrument." He played a simple beat on one of the drums, and asked me to play it back to him on another. It looked so easy, but it wasn't. It took a lot of effort to imitate what my uncle was doing. We practiced again and again until I was able to play it back well. Every day after school for a month we followed the same routine my uncle played, and I made the puppet dance. Every time, people gathered around to enjoy the show. And every day we stayed for a while, and my uncle would teach me how to play different rhythms on the kendang. Slowly I got better. Then one day after the show my uncle pulled something out of a cloth bag. It was a kendang. The kendang was old and scratched, but I looked at it with hope. "Can I play it?" I asked. "Of course," said my uncle. "It is for you, Iman." I was so happy that I started jumping up and down in the street like a crazy person. I shouted and laughed. Then I gave my uncle a great big hug. "Thank you, Uncle Satia," I said. "This is the best present in the world. I have always wanted to be like you." "You're welcome. But remember that the secret to making good music is to never give up. You must practice and practice and practice some more. Then you will be a good kendang player." "Never give up, Iman," he said. "Never give up." I found a special place in my bedroom for my new instrument, right beside my bed. Every day after practicing with my uncle, I would go home and continue to play. I played on my own and I played along to music on the radio. When I played, I forgot about everything else. My mother often had to call me to dinner several times. I felt like the music transported me to a different place. I practiced and practiced. Then, one day, exactly 2 years after one got my kendang, my uncle and I met on the usual corner to play. But this time I played the kendang and he made the puppet dance. The crowd that gathered around us to watch was the biggest one ever. They clapped and clapped. Maybe it was because my uncle made the puppet dance very well. Or maybe it was because of something else. For the first time in a very long time, I saw a big smile on my uncle's face.